Now,
from Greater Sandton and beyond, get ready for the Sandton Times Hour
with your host,
Alexander.
Light the candles, get the torches out. It's the Sandton Times Hour on Mix 93.8 FM, and as always, available as a podcast on Apple, Google, and Spotify. My name is Alexander Leibner. This is edition 86, week 40, and we're going into the last bit of September 2022. If you want to get in touch, you can email editor@sandtontimes.co.za, where you can connect with us on social media at Sandton Times, or visit the website www.sandtontimes.co.za. As always, feel free to send in your comments, your questions, your feedback. You're part of the conversation. You're part of the Sandton Times Our Nation if you're listening to this show. Thank you for making the time to tune in, to be part of the show, as always. Your support is welcome, and I know you're listening from greater parts of the globe, somewhere in the universe, and of course, the great parts of South Africa. I'm happy to report that all is well in Sandton land. And Vincenzo is back. I see you made it back from Comic-Con. We're going to talk about that in a minute. To pilot the mixing desk for the next hour to make sure we sound good. And if you're listening live on Mix 93.8 FM and not on the podcast, well, you can make use of the WhatsApp line, which is up and running and ready for you. And I got some feedback here over the past weeks, which we never got a chance to chat about. And I quote, "I've enjoyed every feature and every track you've played. Great Monday evening listening. Have an excellent week." And that's from Shane. So thank you very much, Shane, for taking the time to send that WhatsApp. It's much appreciated, and we love getting your feedback. I hope you had a great Heritage Day, a great Heritage Day weekend. What did you get up to? Was it a bride day? Was it a rugby day? Was it a get dressed up in our cultural clothes? And it's always so fantastic to see everybody out and about in their bit of cultural attire, whatever that is. Somebody said we should go wear a Kiwi jacket. That's South Africa's general heritage, which I thought was quite amusing. Well, Comic-Con Africa 2022, I know we just spoke about it. Vincenzo, I don't know if you went. Did you get dressed up? No, I didn't get dressed up. I went. Wow. They're out in Nasrec. Let me tell you, what an event. It was packed. I don't think I've seen that many people since pre-COVID, pre-pandemic. Thousands of people. Thousands. I mean, it was you couldn't walk anywhere. It was just packed, and it was a geek salad of note. I mean, every third person was dressed up as some superhero or some character or some villain or some hero, and it was just so colorful and so. It was almost overwhelming to the senses. And there was just so much going on, so much to see, so much to learn, so much to figure out. And I don't know, if you went to Comic-Con Africa, I'd love to know what you thought. Was your feedback? I know the Delicious Festival was on as well. I don't know if you went to that. If you went to that, let me know what that was all about. Then Tourism Seychelles, they hosted a cocktail in Sandton on Friday, which was really nice. They brought a bit of Seychellois to the heart of Sandton Central with a bit of music, a bit of dance, some traditional food. And they're looking to strike up a deal with Johannesburg, between Seychelles and Johannesburg, which is quite interesting. It's not the obvious link, but I'm keen to see what happens. I mean, I know we've had a lot of these announcements by tourism associations, by tourism promotion agencies, and, you know, it's always a great launch or a great get-together, but then it's the follow-through. What happens after that? What happens after the big announcements? Is there more in line? So we'll see. Then Raw Bistro and Bar opened in Sandton, which is quite interesting. If you've ever been to Parc Femme, I think that was how it was pronounced, opposite the Sandton Convention Center. It's like it used to be like a little boutique restaurant. Well, they've redone that entire space now. It's a bit of a sort of Parisian coffee shop meets bistro meets tapas restaurant. Very good food, I must say. We had a bit of a preview of the menu, and the food was fantastic. The decor looks interesting, and I mean, the location is obviously great. So let's see how that does. And then Huawei, they launched their Nova 10 smartphone this week. Some really nice little elements to that smartphone. We got a chance to touch it. But what was quite entertaining was we went for the launch of the smartphone, and they ended up showing us some of their home inverter battery technology, which I think a lot of media people who are attending were interested in. So we got a sort of an additional tour of some of the solutions Huawei has to sort out your power problems. And I've never seen so many media people interested in something like this. I suppose we're all personally affected by it. We all have you listening, reading, watching, who are interested in this. And I mean, some of these solutions, I mean, gee whiz, I mean, you're going to put some money down. It's going to cost you as much as a car. But I mean, lasts you for about, I think the numbers were about between 10 and 20 years, and can take you off the grid. I mean, I think on a full charge, the full shebang, if you go for the Rolls Royce, I think you can go on for about 10 hours plus without ever having to connect to the grid, and also connects to solar panels, so you can sort of charge with solar panels or charge when the power comes on again. But I think these are the conversations we're having. I mean, even at this launch that I had with this lunch at Raw, I mean, that was the conversation around the table. Like, water tanks, are we all getting JoJo tanks? And are we all getting battery packs and inverters and solar panels and whatever? And I think for those of us who might be able to make it happen somehow, that's the way to go. I think that's the Christmas present for 2022. Well, coming up on this week's episode, he's a talented musician and passionate cook, and he's opening a new arts destination in the heart of Sandton. More of that in a minute. Then it's one of the fastest growing entertainment platforms globally, and I'll be diving a bit deeper into some of the data driving this success. Stay tuned. And after that, there's a new department store opening its doors end of this month, and I'll be chatting to the founders for all the details. And finally, we all need something to lift our spirits, and this new album will do just that. All this and more coming up. Your headlines for the week are coming up shortly, but first, let's kick off the hour, as always, with a bit of music.
Online, on air,
Anywhere, anytime.
this is the Sandton Times Hour.
Well, you heard it there. This is the Sandton Times Hour on Mix 93.8 FM with Love You Still featuring Dominic Neal by DJ Kent. It's time to take a look at your headlines for this week. Well, there was a burst water pipe in northern Johannesburg. The Bryanston Reservoir was drained to deal with a major burst pipe on Witkoppen Road in Fourways. And the affected areas included Bryanston, Rivonia, Fourways, Magaliesig, and Dainfern. I don't know if they've sorted it out now, or if you were affected. I'd love to hear from you. There's also been an urgent appeal to residents to reduce water consumption. So yeah, the power's off, and you're going to have to reduce your water. What next? How much do you need to earn to be middle class in South Africa? Well, according to a business tech piece, the middle class in South Africa consists of households with an income of 22,000 Rand per month and above. So if you're earning a minimum of 22,000 Rand per month as a household, welcome to the middle class in South Africa. Musi Maimane, he launched a new political party. I don't know if you saw that. It's called Build One SA, or it's abbreviated to BOSA. BOSA. B-O-S-A. BOSA. Build One SA. He launched that in Naledi in Soweto over the weekend. Then squatters living in River Club Sandton, well, they were evicted. According to News 24, they've been described as serial squatters. I don't know what serial squatters are, but I suppose these are people who squat professionally. They move around and they find a place to squat, and whenever they get evicted, they move to the next place, I'm guessing. Then outside of Sandton, one last story, a shark attack in Plet. Did you see that? News 24 as well reports that beaches around Plettenberg Bay have been closed following a fatal shark attack at Central Beach over the weekend. The sea rescue craft Eric Stratford was launched, and on arrival on the scene, the body of a believed to be 39-year-old female from Cape Town was recovered from the water and brought to the beach. And I read in one other story on this that she'd actually only been in shallow water. She hadn't really gone out, to some sort of ridiculous ends of the ocean. Sometimes you stand on the beach and you see these people who swim out to it feels like they're halfway to Mauritius already. This wasn't the case. She was kind of in shallow waters, and supposedly the shark attack happened, but we don't know all the details yet. So police have opened an inquest docket, and the name of the victim has not yet been released. Let's leave it there for your headlines for this week. Time to catch up with Jay Something right after the break.
Follow the Sandton Times on social media.
At Sandton Times.
Online, on air,
Anywhere, anytime.
This is the Sandton Times Hour.
The Sandton Times Hour gets rocking and rolling for another week, and it's great to kick things off with a really exciting story. And I say exciting because, let me be completely transparent, it is the home of the Sandton Times, and it's called Black Brick. And if you haven't been to Black Brick, it's sort of a mixed-use property. There's a hotel, there's apartments, there's a deli, there's a workspace, and it's actually the address for the Sandton Times. So if you've ever sent us anything, I don't know, flowers, chocolates, threats, that's where you would have sent it to. It's so interesting to see that Black Brick is now expanding, and as part of that expansion, there's also a really exciting entertainment element that's coming into play. And joining me on the line right now is the man who needs very little introduction, Jay Something, best known for his work at Mikasa, but he's also a very diligent cook as well. But Jay Something, thank you so much for joining us on the Sandton Times Hour.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you for calling me a cook and not a chef. Thank God.
Well, Jay, I didn't want to lay on too much pressure during our chat here. No. But listen, tell us a little bit more about this adventure you've got going now at Black Brick 2.0, which is the building opposite the first Black Brick on Fredman Drive. You've got something called Artistry that you're getting going.
Yes, yeah, it's a collaboration between myself and Black Brick. You know, it's a restaurant, for the lack of a better explanation, but what it really is, it's a cultural platform that looks at putting experiences on and almost bringing, if I dare to say, bringing Sandton back to kind of, a lot of our inspiration comes from the time where Sandton was really this cultural and entertainment hub for Johannesburg, and it's a 3-tier restaurant, rooftop kitchen and bar with an outdoor cinema and a pool. Floor down, we've got 100-seater theater, and another floor down, we've got an underground after party bar where you'll be able to get entertained. And really, the inspiration for us is to celebrate these things that we deem to be artistry. Personally, for me, with regards to artistry and why I'm doing this, is I've always been wanting to create a platform that marries food and music in a very interesting way, and I think this is it.
Well, listen, I think it's a great cultural addition to Sandton, but now to have a restaurant, a theatre, sort of a lounge area for live music coming into the heart of Sandton, I think is a very exciting proposition. The Black Brick 2.0 development, as we're referring to it for this interview, is also reclaimed office space, because I think Black Brick, the first one, was the former South African Breweries offices, which are now hotel, apartment, and everything else. This building across the road, I think, formerly was a law firm or something.
That's right.
So you're going to be partying it up in the former boardrooms and spaces where very important decisions were made only a couple of years ago.
Exactly. I mean, we're still going to be making important life decisions, maybe just slightly different. But yes, and that's where the theater was birthed from. You know, within this old law firm, they had an old theater that was obviously used for like presentations and things. And when myself and Jonathan walked in there, we just said, wow, man, imagine linking this to the rooftop bar and kitchen and creating. And that's kind of what really helped us to explode or unfold this whole idea. So yeah, interesting, where you find your inspiration from.
Absolutely. Hey, nothing like a good law firm to inspire all kinds of interesting conversations. I believe Ricardo da Costa is involved in this project as well.
Yes, Ricardo da Costa is part of my team and a very good friend of mine, and he was integral and continues to be integral in my music journey. Soul Candy days, I used to work with him and at Soul Candy, and he's obviously been doing Altitude, and he owns Ivy. And when I came to kind of building my team for this as sort of my support part from a Jay Something perspective, I asked him if he would like to be a part of it, and I'm so glad to have him on board.
I think I still remember buying some vinyl from him many years ago, but that's a different conversation altogether back at Soul Candy. When is this project looking to come online? When can we start attending these events, eating in this space?
We are full on in building. I just left the venue, the space now. It's looking incredible. Just every time you go, there's always something new. You notice every brick that's kind of been added on. So very exciting. Our ambitions are to open January 2023 from a soft launch perspective, and then February really start rolling out. And we're already curating the night on the town, as we calling them, which are these weekend experiences where you really have the full journey of having dinner, watching a show, partying afterwards, and potentially even staying at the hotel if you wish. So yeah, January 2023, we are hopefully opening up our doors.
That sounds fantastic. I turned 40 in February, so your timing is absolutely spot on.
Bro. Come on, man.
So, Jay, tell me, what are you hoping to see come alive in this space? Is it going to be bringing established artists in there and obviously doing their bit, comedians, thespians, or also unlocking new talent, sort of creating a showcase for new artists to be discovered?
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. It's a multi-purpose cultural platform to expose and showcase arts. And when we speak about the arts, it's so much more than just the music and the painting and the writing and the movies. It's just, I think that there's the one of the things that we are really inspired by, and probably the core of artistry, is that it's nothing trendy but everything classic. And we are diving into the things that have stood the test of time. Like even from a food perspective, my inspiration has just been on the things that are deemed classics, and they're deemed classics simply because they've stood the test of time. There's nothing like, I don't know why, but for some reason, like a hamburger and chips, a fish and chips, a pizza, certain things like Sandton beans in South Africa, these things are classics, and they've stood the test of time because we live in this world where we always just so trend, we're chasing the next trend, and then the trend comes and go. So for us, it's really about showcasing that, and what we're hoping for is to just create a platform that can help people realize more of their potential, whether it's through birthing conversation or friendships, or just being exposed to great food, or as an artist being, having a platform to showcase your art and benefiting from it.
Well, I definitely think you're tapping into two very interesting trends or opportunities in Sandton. The one being that Sandton has had a lack of entertainment space, maybe even more so post-COVID. I mean, Sandton's always been very corporate, very hotels and business, and the fact that there's now somewhere where you can go watch a show, listen to some music, I think that's a great one. But also the fact that the space is attached to accommodation as well. And I'm finding more and more people saying, well, if I'm going to go out, I don't necessarily want to be driving, or if I'm going to have a drink, then I definitely don't want to be driving. Let me book over, let me stay over somewhere, let me make it a holistic weekend night out, as opposed to just let me go home, and then that's it.
Spot on, bro. Like, I think that for me, like, we have to understand our city. We have to understand our people. We have to, and luckily, I am one of those people. And I think that, my friends and I, like, we want to go out for a night out on the town. But I think unlike, let's say, a Cape Town where you're kind of hopping between places, I think in Joburg, you really do want to go to a place and you want to chill there and you want to establish yourself there with your friends and you want to have a good time. And I always feel like, I don't want to say that we shortchanged, but I think that there's so much more that you could add onto the experience other than just a great dining experience. And I think that what we're wanting to do is to give you a great dining experience and, a performance, a comedy night, maybe even watch a movie on Sunday nights with us. If you want to chill and lounge, maybe come to the after party bar. And like you say, like, if you feel like you want to just not have to drive or anything, and if you're not Ubering or etc., then you can stay at the hotel.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you have it, Jay Something, with a new development at Black Brick 2.0, opening early next year, called Artistry. It's a fusion of an eating space, an entertainment space, a party space, and I'm really keen to see what this looks like as it shapes up. And I thank you for making the time to be with us on the Sandton Times Hour. And it is the bottom of the hour on the Sandton Times Hour. And I can't actually think of a better track to play than this one.
Back for more?
The Sandton Times Hour continues.
You're back with the Sandton Times Hour on Mix 93.8 FM, and also available on all good podcasts, whichever one you subscribe to, Spotify, Apple, Google, the whole lot. I mean, you pick and choose. And that was Jika by Mikasa and Jay Something. And it was great to chat to him just before the break. So why not? Why not play a Jay Something Mikasa track at halftime? Taking you into the second half of the Sandton Times Hour, my name is Alexander Leipner, and you know the drill. If there's anything that sounded good, it sounded interesting, and you didn't manage to write it down on your hand or your elbow or your arm, well, you can get all the details on the website under show notes. So you visit www.sandtontimes.co.za for a detailed breakdown of everything that we discussed on this week's edition. And if you missed previous week's editions, if you listened to the podcast and you missed something, you can find those on the website as well. Also, be sure to check out the social media accounts at Sandton Times, and feel free to engage. You can also send a tweet, a WhatsApp, a DM, a voice note during the show, after the show, before the show, whatever works for you. And you can also use hashtag Sandton Times hour. Now, we spoke about this last week, or we touched on it. I mentioned that I'd spent an evening with TikTok, and no, I wasn't scrolling through the TikToks. I was actually meeting with the TikTok team, and they were taking a whole bunch of media, let me rather say a select group of media people, through some of the TikTok stats, some of the TikTok data. It had all been very mysterious up until a point, very smoke and mirrors. You downloaded the app, and that's all we ever got to know about it. And it's great how TikTok is starting to communicate more and more. And one of those people communicating with us is Greg Bailey. He's the agency partner at TikTok South Africa. And Greg, I suppose it would be an appropriate way to kick open this door by saying, how is TikTok doing?
So just looking at TikTok from a global standpoint, we've gone over 1 billion users globally, which is incredible to see. What we've seen is communities kind of come together. They're obviously, from a TikTok perspective, it's a platform that is centered around short form video, driving out entertainment in a real kind of authentic and relatable manner. But what we've seen is these communities kind of being connected around the various passion points or interest points, and essentially, again, coming together and again, learning, the opportunity for learning. So for us, there's that diversification in terms of audience, but also diversification in terms of content. So it opens itself up, and again, it's a great opportunity for any brand to jump in and connect with those consumers in the most authentic or relatable manner.
It's quite an interesting algorithm. I mean, you've briefly touched on it now, and I'm going to just take that thought a little bit further. I mean, it's a video format that you kind of scroll through anything between, I don't know, a few seconds up to a few minutes in terms of those videos, and a wide variety of things. One of the interesting things that you pointed out during your presentation was this fascination with learning, and that people were turning to TikTok to learn things. And I think that's kind of coming back to this media conversation that we had, where a lot of media platforms who have jumped onto TikTok have decided to use it to educate people on the Ukraine war, on load shedding, on whatever the topic is, in a fun and interesting way, yet still staying quite factual and staying quite legitimate about it. And then one of the other big international trends that you pointed out was people using TikTok to learn about money and about finances, and using the hashtags money talk, stock talk, fin talk, using that sort of TikTok sort of abbreviation. And I found that was quite fascinating, that you actually had people on there, some of them very legitimate people, talking about, saving, what to do with your money, where to invest it, and that being a very popular thing for people to watch.
Completely. So let me start off by saying, again, we see ourselves very much as an entertainment platform and less so social media channel, media platform. And I think everything on TikTok is centered around that algorithm, which is a content-based algorithm. Meaning, as you come into the platform, the algorithm understands the type of content that you consume, the content that's relevant to you, and delivers out a very unique experience within that For You page. Again, we're talking about the rise of the various kind of hashtags. FinTalk in itself is one where opportunity to educate these digital natives on everything from investing, savings, money, you name it. And even, again, like that diversification, we talk about that content, but looking at hashtags like BookTalk. Collectively across the globe, that's delivered out 50 billion video views. And again, skyrocketed sales across the globe from a book point of view, from a print point of view. So it's revolutionized book sales. And again, that comes back to the simple fact that communities are connecting. There's this community amplification that's happening from the users themselves, where they're coming in, reviewing products or brands that they love and use each and every single day.
It's quite fascinating. So essentially, if I hear you correctly, on the one hand, on the last point, you were saying that, more people have started reading books as a result of book reviews or what sort of, content production on TikTok talking about certain books. And then on the previous point to that was that TikTok is not just dependent on how many followers you have on your account, but those followers technically can access any of the content, and you were talking about the billions there in terms of billions of users, purely depending on what there is. So if I'm into gardening, or if I'm into, I don't know, hopscotch or whatever, I will only get hopscotch and gardening videos.
100%, exactly that. So again, that content graph is centered around the content that you consume. So supporting content that's obviously performing exceptionally well and that's relevant. less so than a social media graph, which again, if you consider coming into other platforms, you're expecting to see content from brands or from your social networks, your friends and family. To some extent, it's quite limiting. This is a non-limiting algorithm.
So where do you see this all going? I mean, if I looked at some of the videos you presented and how brands are integrating or collaborating with content creators. So you've got Susan, she's 19 years old. She does her own version of a face wash video because a face wash brand has decided they want to collaborate with her. She does something that is unscripted, unmanipulated by an agency, by a copywriter, by an art director, by all the traditional things that media would use to try and convince us of a product. And I mean, it almost flies in the face of traditional advertising and traditional marketing.
Correct. So it's almost that intersection between kind of UGC or user-generated content and media. If you look at this kind of new generation of digital natives, they're looking for more from brands. It's all around connection, authenticity, and a dynamic relationship is a must. I mean, 74% of consumers say that brands need to find more innovative ways to market to them. If you consider that, again, 71% of our consumers or users don't mind advertisements on the platform as long as they're entertaining. And again, like you said, it comes back down to that authenticity, leaning in on creators. In a TikTok world, we talk to, I mean, a traditional would have been probably influencers, but from a TikTok perspective, we call them creators, see them as creators, and the ability for them to co-create with brands and drive out that messaging in the most authentic, relatable, and entertaining way. Those are the guys that are winning.
Such an interesting platform. Once you start digging into the data and digging into the numbers, and I think we're going to probably hear way more about it. That was Greg Bailey, agency partner at TikTok South Africa, and thank you for joining us on the Sandton Times Hour.
Thank you, Alex. I love your professionalism, and thank you for having me on.
You're listening to the Sandton Times Hour.
The Sandton Times Hour continues on Mix 93.8 FM, and it's an interesting time as we go into the spring months, the summer months, and you start seeing launches, you start seeing new concepts coming online. And one of those is the one that's launching this week on the 29th of September. It's a new retail space in Rosebank, and it's kind of where the Furs, the Zone, and Rosebank Mall kind of meet at this corner. And to talk about this new development, I've got Paul Simon, who's the CEO of Egg, and Ari Fabian, who's the co-founder of Egg. And gentlemen, it's great to have you on the Sandton Times Hour.
Alex, thanks for having us. We're excited to be on your show.
Well, let's kick things off. Paul, whilst you've got the mic, tell us a little bit more. What is Egg?
So I think in a nutshell, or we could say in an eggshell, Egg is effectively a platform. And we are the new age way of, the best way to describe it would be a department store. So very similar to a Selfridges model that some of your listeners may be aware from the UK. We are a platform where brands get space allocated to them in a really curated environment. So we have a number of different departments within the department store. We've got home and living, we've got fashion, we've got services, things like ear piercing studios. We've got some things that are really unique and have never been done in retail before, in fact. So we've got the first, certainly the first in this country, and I don't even think I've seen it overseas, a greenhouse whereby consumers will be able to go in and choose their own plants inside a temperature-controlled greenhouse, which is within the space. We've got footwear, we've got beauty, we've got jewelry. So one imagines a department store with a number of different partners that show their merchandise within the space.
Wow. So if I hear you correctly, you can get your spec boom and your bikini bottoms all in one place at the same time.
100%.
Well, it's not yours and Ari's first venture into retail and fashion. Paul, if I'm correct, you were instrumental in YDE. Ari, you were the family behind Fabiani at the time. How's it feeling going back into sort of fashion and back into retail at this point?
Yeah, so I mean, Paul and I have always had a very, very close relationship and close ties from our days when we started in retail in our early 20s. So we've been through the journey, and the journey has got many challenges to it, many highs and many lows. But what's very exciting about the Egg platform and this department store, which we're opening up in the Zone at Rosebank, which is 3,000 square meters all under one roof, with, as what Paul discussed, is you've got fashion, men's, women's, and kids. You've got homeware, you've got jewelry, you've got beauty, you've got all of these amazing services like piercing. We've got even a beauty salon where you can get a whole lot of different services to leave egg. And most excitingly as well, as we've got a 700 square meter restaurant, lounge, and bar that incorporates with inside We Are Egg. So it's a full experiential retailing all under one roof. And it's something that Joburg has never ever seen. And to benchmark us, we will deliver a Selfridge experience, which is world famous in the Zone Rosebank. So there's a lot of excitement about it. But I think what's very important to highlight is our content. So we have 150 different local and international content partners across all of the departments. And that's where the customer who's visiting Egg is going to be so excited and invigorated and ignited as a customer, because they've never seen it all together under one roof, wrapped within experiences. So we're super excited about it. And this has been a new journey for us. Obviously, as we all know, and it's been discussed ad nauseum, is that we launched We Are Egg in Cavendish Square in December 2020. And we went through a challenging period going through COVID. We've now got our model absolutely very, very clear, and our content is getting better and better all the time. And Johannesburg, this is going to be the most pioneering concept and retail development in the retail landscape that South Africa has ever seen. And especially we're going to be iterating, and we've evolved it for the Rosebank launch. So we're super, super excited about this.
Well, if you've already indicated sort of where it is, and for those people listening who kind of have an understanding of Rosebank, if you've ever been to the Tashes or to the Krispy Kreme, if you take sort of like 3 steps to the left or to the right, you'll know exactly where it is. It's on that corner where things are shaping up at the moment. It's not South Africa's first department store or a store that has multiple stores in it. I mean, we've seen Edgar's, we've seen the Stutterfords, which has come and gone. What makes this different, and what gives you sort of confidence that this is sort of the right approach for 2022 in terms of retail?
So I think that the main difference is content, as Ari alluded to. We are exceptionally excited about the content that we've managed to attract there. And I think, some of the other department stores that you've mentioned or highlighted is pretty much more of the same. A lot of the brands are available anywhere and everywhere. And we've really, both Ari and I have used all our skills over the years, both coming from fashion backgrounds, to develop really exciting content. I mean, an example would be a Rich Manisi. This will be his first retail outlet within South Africa, which is a real coup. So in a nutshell, I really think that it's the content that's going to be the difference. I don't think that the business model of department store is that much different. I think it's how we've done it. We've gone through a process whereby we've allowed brands to actually express themselves. We believe that each brand has their own identity. And what we've done, and why we refer to it as a Selfridges model, is many of the bigger, more established brands we've actually allowed to do store-in-store concepts. So each brand actually is unique, if one thinks about it, whether you are selling fashion, beauty, homeware, etc. They all have their own story to tell, and we have given them the platform in order to allow them to tell that story in a very, very unique way. And to be honest with you, I'm obviously up to date with what's happening in that store. I'm coming up next week again to see. I'm absolutely blown away by what our content providers have actually designed and developed in the store. And I think that the consumer is going to be as excited as we are.
Tell me, what's happening in terms of the space? Is it full? I mean, are you full up, or are you still welcoming some potential partners to come in and sort of set up shop?
No, look, we are obviously full currently, but we are always looking for new and innovative content. So ask people to reach out to us. We're very fortunate in that the excitement of almost what I see as the rebirth of the node, that corner node that you alluded to in Rosebank, has allowed us to actually be oversubscribed. But, because our model is, we like to talk about it as a win-win, where the partners' leases are relatively short, anywhere from 3 months to a year. Spaces do become available. Some people will make it, some people won't. So always looking for new content. Currently, for opening, we are full.
Well, there you have it. It's Paul Simon, CEO of Egg, and Ari Fabian, co-founder of Egg. And really looking forward to seeing what that looks like. And hopefully we'll be bringing you some more information on that. But I thank both of them for joining us on the Sandton Times Hour. And with that, we're taking a break and a bit of music.
You're listening to the Sandton Times Hour.
This is the Sandton Times Hour on Mix 93.8 FM and available on all good podcast platforms. And that was a little bit of a deviation from our usual music sound. That was Undefeated, performed by Caroline Baroli, featuring Maylee Kelly and the East Rand Youth Choir. And I know exactly what you're thinking. I didn't realize the East Rand has a youth choir, but they do, and they sound quite incredible. And that song was specifically chosen to introduce our next interview as we wrap up this week's hour. And I'm joined by JP Nobrega. He's the founder and CEO of RADA, and they had a significant launch this week as they launched their latest album as part of their fundraising efforts, as part of their awareness efforts. They hosted it here in Sandton at Hotel Sky, and let me tell you, it was a magical evening, some fantastic talent. But to tell us a little bit more about that, JP, thank you so much for joining us on the Sandton Times Hour.
Alex, thanks for having me. To all the listeners, hello.
Well, JP, it's great to have you on. And JP, tell us a little bit more about RADA. I know it's an acronym for Rape, Alcohol, and Drug Abuse, but you can give us a little bit more context as to what RADA does and what it's all about.
Well, it's grown significantly since we started. We're basically a humanitarian company that's focusing on empowering individuals. So we work together with the communities that we're based in to solve the issues and problems together. We have a number of orphanages and homes that we've adopted. I think we're up to 20 now. We provide 150,000 meals a month. So it's not only about spreading a message of empowerment and inspiration. We're also on the ground, actually in the areas that we work with, as far as Philippolis in the Free State, all the way to Limpopo. So we provide both a physical and a presence through music. We have a few initiatives on the go that all have the thread of empowerment and inspiration in it.
Well, let me tell you, I mean, that song, I feel summarizes a lot of that. I mean, Undefeated, Walk with Power, such an uplifting and inspirational song. Some top talent recording these songs, but you're not just doing this for the sake of having a great album that you can release. There's a fundraising initiative behind this. So the royalties of these songs go towards a lot of the initiatives that you have as an NPO. Tell us a little bit more how this whole thing started. I mean, I think this is your third album, but this is the second edition of this particular version of the album. Just give us a little bit of the lay of the land there.
So when we started, the information we have to spread the message about what we deal with is quite heavy. So we thought the best way to get the message out was through music. And I love music, and I think the music speaks to the soul. So we decided to get together with some of South Africa's top talent and develop songs of inspiration. Obviously, give the artist free rein to create a song in lines with what we're doing. We have two albums, it's RADA and Earth Volume 1 and 2, which is all pure original music written by the artist for RADA, but also, it also resonates with them as an artist. And then we got the other album, RADA Inspire, which is part of a RADA Inspire campaign about, making a change, starting with yourself and spreading positive vibes, essentially. And RADA Inspire, they are cover songs, all the classic songs, still using top-class South African talent. And the royalties that the guys, that the radio stations and media play on these albums go back into the RADA Care initiatives. And the RADA Care initiatives include the homes, the feeding schemes, providing clothes, the RADA MyPad. So it all helps. You create an awareness of RADA, but at the same time, you're also generating funds that go directly into the RADA Care projects.
So if you enjoyed that song that we played during the break, Undefeated, you know that every time you listen to it on Apple or on Spotify, on any of these platforms, or you hear it played on the radio station, you know that the music or the royalties of that music are going back into solving some of the very unfortunate social issues that we have in South Africa, and they don't seem to be slowing down. They actually, in fact, almost feel like they're getting worse at times. And here's an opportunity for you to enjoy great music and at the same time know that there's some contribution that's being made to a greater cause. Some other great tracks on this year's album. I mean, one of the other ones that stood out for me was I See You, and you'll be wanting to listen to them a few times. JP Nobrega, founder and CEO of RADA, thank you so much for joining us on the Sandton Times Hour. And that's it for another hour on the Sandton Times Hour. I mean, it's on Mix 93.8 FM every week on a Monday night, and as always, available as a podcast on Apple, Google, and Spotify. If you're listening to this not in real time, but at a delayed time. You can email us on editor@sandtontimes.co.za if you would like to get in touch, and you're always welcome to do so. And you also can connect on social media at Sandton Times, and there's always great stuff, good content, competitions, the whole lot that you can pick up there. And also visit the website, www.sandtontimes.co.za. Thank you to all our guests this week who've made the time to be on the show and to chat to us. A big thank you to our musical maestro, Vincenzo. As always, you've done such a great job lining it all up. And thank you to the Sandton Times team as well as everyone at Mix 93.8 FM. Remain undefeated, walk with power, and let's connect again next week.
That's it for this week. Thanks for listening to the Sandton Times Hour. And if you enjoyed it, be sure to share it.